Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Institute. And this is just a great opportunity for all of us leaders to gather together and to grow together as leaders. You're all in this room because you lead someone, or there's some potential in you to lead someone, and we've placed you in this group, or you have shown an interest in leading someone and a desire to learn, and that's also why you might be here. So, regardless of why you're here, we're glad you're here. So, we are going to take a look at this list of 4 things that every successful company does. Now, we are a ministry, but the truth is we're also a company. We are registered as a company, and we have the responsibilities of a company. There's laws and regulations we must adhere to. And so, as we are a ministry at heart, but the framework that allows that ministry to move forward is the company that we are. And so, when you take a look at things that companies are doing, there's some of those things that don't translate to us as a ministry, but many of them do. Now, there are many lists. You can search on the internet, successful companies do this, and find all kinds of things and all kinds of lists. And I've seen a lot of those things over the years. But there was this one particular study that it really kind of piqued my attention. And it was 4 things that all successful companies do. And they started listing the companies that they had studied. And these companies are all companies that are you and I have heard of, these big, large global companies, and they all have these 4 things that are happening within them. And so I just started digging into those and realized, these are really, really great. And so here's the 4 things that this study revealed that every successful company does. And we're going to dig into what these mean. The first one is they bet on leadership. The second is they act as one. The third, they win the heart. And the fourth, they excel at execution. Now, we're going to spend the next 4 weeks going through those. And we're just going to skim the surface of them, because we could spend weeks and weeks and weeks going on these. And we might someday. Or we might even based on your feedback. So if I hear some feedback on one, or a lot of questions around one of them, then we'll pause and we'll dig in deeper. So it's really kind of based on how we kind of react to this. So the one that we're going to start with today is to bet on leadership. Now, when you place a bet, you're basically risking a resource to gain more of that or another resource. So I don't know how familiar you are with betting. You can see when you drive to Kampala, you'll see these sports betting places. And basically people go into those places and they take money and they bet. They bet that this particular team will win. They bet that this particular, like the people bet on horse racing, and they'll put money on, they'll give 200,000 shillings that this particular horse will win the race. So they're risking the money they put forth to get more money. And so when you place a bet on something, you're hoping to get more and more of it. You're taking a chance. So if you're betting on leadership, you're taking a chance that this potential leader will develop into a leader. So when a company or a ministry bets on leadership, you're not waiting for them just to come along. You're not hoping, some good leaders will just show up. You are seeking them out, and you're exposing them to some career experiences that will start to develop that potential. Now, the risk is that they don't develop into a leader. The risk is that you actually start putting them into some leadership places and spaces and responsibilities and training, and they don't cope up. So that's the risk. But a successful company or successful ministry bets on that, sees someone and starts to expose them, starts to put them into those places, start to create some challenging opportunities for those lower in the organization. Now, leaders can spot people as you're working and you're looking across at your team, you should be able to spot people that you feel like, that person has some leadership potential. And then you start to stretch that person and start to develop that person and start to stick them into some places that are a little bit above and over them and see if they kind of can stretch into that. Now, you're in this room because somebody bet on you. Somebody saw something in you and decided, you know what? I want to start to develop something in that person. I want to start to stretch that person a bit. And for many of us, it might have been at a great cost. When I first became a pastor, the man that hired me, I'd never been a pastor before. And I had done some very small things in ministry, working with children. And he saw something in me, and he bet on me. And he hired me, paid for me to actually shift, put me in a full-time position, paid me much more than I was getting paid before, gave me more responsibility, and said, here we go. And he took a chance on me. And that's happened multiple times in my ministry life, where people trusted me and said, let's give this a shot. Let's see if he can do it. And so what I want you to be doing is the same thing. Is you should always be looking at your team and asking the question, could that person do more than they're doing? Could that person take that thing they're doing and maybe lead that thing they're doing, or lead one or two or three or a team of people in that task? Or maybe even, could that person do what I do? And maybe not right now, but do they have the potential in the future to do what I do? And if they do, then we need to start giving them some opportunities. And it doesn't necessarily mean there's a promotion, or it doesn't necessarily mean there's a pay raise. Sometimes it's just, I'm just going to increase a little bit of responsibility and see how they react, to see if they are open to it, to see if they can step into that new space and to see what happens. And then you start to watch and start to develop, and then you add a little bit more and add a little bit more. And then, of course, there might be some promotion involved and some pay raise eventually involved. But if you look around at Cherish, it is very rarely do we go outside of our organization and bring somebody in. We've done it a few times when the particular skill set we needed wasn't available. So for instance, Ruth is a great example. We looked at our team, we didn't have anybody who had the experience or the skill set to be our head of finance. So we had to go outside to hire that position. Our doctor is another one. It's a particular skill set that we will have to go outside of the organization to get. And that's how it works with some of our positions, but most of them, you'll see we've grown people into those positions. I don't know how many of you know, but Sam, he was the very first teacher that we ever hired at Cherish back in like 2008, I think, a long time ago. And there's just potential been seen in him, responsibilities have been added, and he's grown into the person he is. Now, the truth is, he's still growing. The truth is, I'm still growing. All of us, hopefully, are never in a spot where we think, I got it. I'm in this spot. I know everything there is to know about this, and I'm doing a good job. We should never be in that spot. Hopefully, we are always thinking, I always have places to grow. I might feel like, I'm doing a good job, but I also need to make sure I'm understanding the areas I'm not doing a good job in. And then I'm looking to expand and grow and stretch and add areas of responsibility, and that my leadership continues to expand. And I hope that is for all of us. Now, what I'd love for you to do is discuss this a bit. I want you to break up into some groups. And here's some three questions that I want you to discuss. The first one, who took a chance on you? And that could be here at Cherish, it could be somewhere else. I'd like you to share a time when a person has took a chance on you, who bet on you, who risked something and put you in a place of leadership or responsibility. The second one, I want you to answer the question, do you want to lead? Now think about this one, because it is, most people say, of course I want to lead. Yes, I want to lead. But what happens is people don't want to pay the price of leadership, because the price of leadership is engaging in the conflict, which we've been talking about in the Vine, and engaging in that conflict in a way that is appropriate and right and healthy and causes growth. As a leader, you're often blamed for things that you didn't do. As a leader, you often will have to take the blame of your team. And maybe you didn't even individually do what is done, but the team did something that maybe wasn't appropriate or right. And it's your job as a leader to take that blame. As a leader, there's probably longer hours involved. Your typical leader doesn't work 8 to 5. It kind of bleeds into more areas of your life. As a leader, you're often misunderstood. Sometimes you can't get up and tell the whole story about something because you're trying to protect some people, and there's some things that maybe legally you're not allowed to say. And so guess what? You might be misunderstood because of that. Walking people through change. Change is hard. And as an organization that's living and growing, we are always going to be changing. And so as a leader, you have to be willing to walk people through that change. And some people, they accept that and they work through the change. Other people don't want to change. But you as the leader still have to make those changes anyways. And then there's the other part that can be difficult is betting on leadership. Is taking a chance on somebody and that person not working out, because sometimes that happens. So I want you to kind of examine yourself. Do you really want to lead? And because it's someone who's willing to pay that price of leadership, then they're also willing to start to take some bets on the leaders around them. The leader who doesn't really want to lead and pay the price of leadership, they're not willing to bet on the leadership of others. And so that's a key thing for you to kind of grapple with. And then the third one is, who do you see in your downline that has the potential to grow? Who in your department, and maybe it's not even in your department, who do you see at Cherish where you've seen something in them and you think, that person. Now, this is where it can be, you have to really, again, to pay the price of leadership. This isn't about your friend. It's not about your tribe. It's not about, because that person did something for you, you should now do something for them. No, it's about looking at this person and honestly evaluating them and saying, are they somebody that I should bet on leadership? Are they somebody that I think can step into some new areas of leadership? So go ahead and break up and spend some time on those 3 questions. And like I said, we can dig deeper into this. So if I hear back from you on the Institute channel, if you have some specific questions about this, post them there. If you have other things you think we should discuss around this, put them there. And then we can either dive into this some more or we can move on to the next one. All right, break up into those groups.